Hi everyone, welcome back. This is 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 3 Breakdown. Let's go. We are back with our favorite 90 Day Fiance couples. This episode, most of them are either traveling to the foreign country, getting ready to travel, which is really good because I sort of get a little tired of all the setup and stuff. The episode starts off with Chris and Jamie, and they are finally together in Colombia. They seem very happy to see each other. I loved Chris's like, oh, this is definitely, I'm not in Alabama anymore. It's like, no, it is different. It is different. But they seem very cute and happy, and yeah, it was a good start. Then we move on to Jen and Rishi. And Jen, this is sort of, she's packing up, she's getting ready to go to India, which she does, and she sort of has some like last minute conversations with her family. They seem very sweet. Her mom had this line that she said right before she got on the plane where I wrote it down because she's like, you don't have to stay in any relationship that's not a positive one. You will always have a home to come back to. And I was just so touched. I was like, oh, that's so like supportive, but still as a parent being like, you know, if it doesn't work out, you still have a home, you still have a family. And I was just really touched by that. I am planning on moving in a couple months and sort of leaving my family and friends, not because I want to, but just, you know, it's where my life is headed. And it's really just the whole situation of like leaving and wanting something better and wanting to change your life but being terrified to do it. You know, there's a couple couples that talked about that this episode, and that really related to me. That hit close to home. I also found it sad that Jen was like, you know, this is my last chance for love, and that's not true. I mean, there are people in their 90s, there are people that get married when they're 99, like, or 100. Like, it's never too late to find love. It's never too late to find love again. It's never too late. And so it always makes me a little sad when people think that, because that's not true. And I wish people didn't think that. Next, we check in with Gabe and Isabel. Isabel is at lunch with her friends, and they're talking about her relationship with Gabe, and it feels a little bit like a filler chunk. And they sort of talk a little bit about like their sex life together, which I don't really care, but I guess some people have questions. I don't really have any questions. It's fine, whatever you do. Apparently everything's great, and that's great. That's more than I wanted to know. Yeah, and then they mentioned again about the concern about her family not accepting him, which I'm kind of waiting until they get past that drama, but I think that's going to be their main drama for the season, so that's fine. Then we check in on Nicole, and Nicole is getting ready to pack, and her parents have come over, and her parents, you guys, her parents are so sweet. They are like this cute couple who are supportive, but you can tell they're also really like nervous about her moving to Egypt, which I get. She's moving to Egypt. That's very different. And her dad's even like, you know, I wish you weren't going somewhere where I can't just like come and help you, or, you know, I'm not going to be there like at the drop of a hat. I can't, you know, just come and be with you. And that makes me sad because they seem so sweet. And they do that parent thing where they're like, just come move closer to Idaho. And I found it sad that her parents said that they found out that she was married on Facebook, which don't have your family find out that you got married on Facebook. Like, tell your family. I know her wedding happened like really quickly. Like, they went to the Justice Department or whatever, and then apparently they crashed another Islamic wedding, and just, I guess because they needed I don't know, whoever, like the head of the religious church in their area or whatever, like they needed the blessing from a certain person, so I guess that's why they crashed that wedding. But Nicole was like, that was weird, and I'm like, that's weird. She also talked about how she did convert to Islam, but she didn't fully understand all of it. So I guess Mahmoud sort of said, like, here's the basis of what we believe. And she's like, okay, I believe that. But she didn't really understand all the sort of traditions and rules and things that they have in place in that religion. And so there's things that she doesn't like and doesn't agree with, and that she, quote unquote, will never do again, but she still kind of believes it. So I don't know how she does that. But I think the big thing for her is being told, like, what clothes to wear. And because I think, she's someone who loves fashion, and so she doesn't want to ever be told what she can and can't wear. And modesty is a big thing, especially in that part of the world and also in that religion. And I don't know how, like, that seems like something that's very important to Mahmoud. So I don't know how they're going to reconcile that. I am suspicious that they won't, because they both seem quite firm and adamant on their opinions on that, but we'll see. Yeah, Nicole also said, one of the things she said is that she wishes that her and Mahmoud could just be like two people who love each other and don't have like their prior cultural traditions, which I understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, I think, you fall in love with someone because of who they are, right? How they grew up, what they believe, what their values are. That's why we connect to certain people. So for her to wish that he was a different person or believed different things, or maybe that she believed different things, like, there's gonna be some issues, I think. Then we get introduced to our last couple, and we get introduced to Debbie, and I love her. I love her so much. She is precious. She reminds me of like that quirky old, like, I don't want to say old because I feel like she's an old soul, but she's kind of like a quirky aunt that you love, and that you go to their house and they have all these fun, weird things, and they see the world in their own way. And in her own words, like, lives her life to the beat of her own drummer. Like, that is her. She is kooky. She is out of the box. There is no box. She's eccentric, but I love her. She is precious and must be protected. I love her. I think she's in her 60s. She loves art and painting and poetry and all the beautiful things in life. And she sort of talks about how she had a really rough upbringing. Her mom, I think, had a lot of mental illness, and she never really had a normal. And so for her, she sort of got to a point, she had a couple bad relationships early in life, and I think she got to the point where she just closed herself off from the world and was like surrounded herself by beauty, by art and paintings and poetry and stuff, and just shut the world out. And I think all of us can relate to that, like, to have a moment where you just want to say no, like, I'm done. I'm done. And I think she openly admits she was really naive when she was younger, that she thought that love kind of is like a fairy tale, which it can be. I do believe that, but I think love is also, and relationships are work. They're hard. There's a huge reward and it's worth it, but they're not fairy tales in that way. And I think, she learned that at a young age, and I feel for her. I just wanted to like walk into the screen and hug her because she's so sweet. I love her. So she, a couple years ago, or a year ago or whatever, she went on social media. I guess she posts like art stuff that she draws and stuff. And someone commented and they got to talking. And yeah, that's how she met Osama. Now, he is young, like, I think 20s or 30s, like young. and he is from Morocco. He's also an artist, he's a poet, and I think I'm already sensing that I think they connect really well on that sort of, you know, when you're someone who sees the world in a different way, like you have a different perspective, it's sometimes hard to connect with people because you feel out of sync. And then if you meet someone who sees things the way you do or feels things the way you do, it's like an instant connection. Like you feel like someone finally understands you or gets you. And I think with them, that's 100% what it is. Like they have just found somebody else who sees the world the way they do. I don't know if they're gonna have a lasting like romantic relationship. I mean, I haven't really met him yet, but I don't get super romantic vibes, although apparently he did ask her to marry him and she's gonna move to Morocco and all that sort of stuff. But I see them more as like this really like deep friendship. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Her Debbie's son, his name is Julian. He does not approve of Osama. He does not like him. I don't think they've met, but I understand his hesitancy. I mean, his mom is like 30 to 40 years older. She's probably has more money than him. Like there's all that concerns about being catfished, about, you know, like someone wanting to be with you for your money, someone taking advantage of you. And he doesn't want that, right? Because Debbie is a sweet old lady. And he cares about his mom. So I get that. I think Debbie has sort of seen enough of the world that I hope she will be wiser of that if that does turn out to be the case. But she seems pretty adamant that it's not. So I hope it's not. I hope for them that it's not. Because I like her a lot. I like her. Then we have a quick check-in on Danielle and Yohan. And last episode, they were fighting about the butcher shop. And so this was just a quick scene of them, like Danielle apologized, which is good. And she sort of agreed to give it like, I think 6 to 9 months or something to see how, like if the butcher shop starts to make money, which is good because you can't expect something like a business just to make money straight off the bat. Like that's not how that works. But she's annoying. Then we go to Egypt and we get to meet Mahmoud. And I think we have met him, but we get to check in with him. And he talks a lot about how much he loves Nicole, which I think is really sweet, and sort of how much his life has changed since he met her. He also talks about how the most important things in his life are like his family and his religion. So to me, that's like, I get that. I understand that. Those two things are very important to me too. So I can see his, I think maybe he should have been more clear before they got married, and maybe they should have taken more time to talk about things. But I see his perspective where he's like, she said yes to everything, so I don't know what the problem is. And it's like, well, I think a lot of their fighting is about clothes and about like his definition of modesty and her definition of modesty, which don't seem to align. They also had he had a really interesting conversation with his brother, whose wife apparently was from China. And so they struggled a lot in the beginning of their relationship because she obviously, different culture, different country, there's a big adjustment. So I think Mahmoud is sort of hoping that he can learn stuff from them and see how to best help Nicole adjust. So it'll be interesting to see if we get to like meet his brother's wife and sort of learn more about their family, because that's interesting to me too. But we'll see. Then we get to see Gabe really quickly. He's getting on a plane to Colombia. Again, worried about her, Isabel's family not accepting him. Apparently that happened in a prior relationship and that kind of ruined the relationship. So I could see his fear and worry. I think it will be unfounded, but we'll see. Quick check-in with Chris and Jamie. They're together, their first night together. I'm not super interested in any of that. what people do in their private life is their private life, but that's fine. They do have a cute dog, which is adorable. And they had a little bit of drama because I guess Jamie picked the apartment without telling Chris, and I guess it cost more than Chris's was wanting to pay a month. So there was a little bit of drama about that, which feels fairly typical for a relationship. Money issues. Everything's all about money. Then we go back to Danielle and Yohan, my favorite couple. And they are apartment hunting. Now, Nicole, I wrote this down. Nicole has a list of what she wants for the apartment. A washer dryer, a dishwasher, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a pool, and a terrace. Quote unquote, I don't think that's a lot. Danielle. I don't know what she needs so much space for. She claims it's for like teaching yoga, but I don't know why she needs 2 bathrooms. But anyway, and then her and Yohan have this really weird conversation about rent, because they find an apartment, she likes it, but it's pricey. And excuse me, and he's like, well, like can we afford this? And she's like, well, like, are you gonna help out? And he's like, well, no, I don't make that much money, which I think he's been clear about. She's like, well, if I'm making all the money, then you're like my wife. And you could tell Yohan was not impressed by that sentiment at all. And he explained that like in the Dominican Republic, both the husband and wife normally work, and then the wife cooks. He's like, well, cooking is not a job. Like, you're just cooking for your husband. That's not a chore. I understand where he's coming from. I get it. I don't know if I 100% agree. I think, there should be a divide in the jobs. So if you're both working, then you might need to both split the housework, however you split that, right? I don't think it's fair for both people to be working full-time and then one person to come home and do everything and the other person not. But again, it depends on your jobs, it depends on the hours, like there's all that stuff to consider. I don't think it's cut and dry, but I could sense neither of them were super happy with that outcome. Suffice it to say, I don't think they got the expensive apartment. Then we cut to Jen and Rishi, and Jen has arrived in India. She's getting settled in a hotel, and we get to meet Rishi's family, because it sort of cuts to him, and we learn that his father passed away a couple years ago, I think, and so he's kind of like the man of the house. There's him, his mom, and then like siblings, cousins, like there's quite an extended family that live under one roof, which I think is fairly typical for India and many cultures actually around the world. But he's sort of responsible for taking care of a lot of that sort of stuff. I found his mom so cute. She's doing that mom thing where she's like hinting that about all these people around him that are getting married. He's like, oh, like, your cousin just got married, and like now that your sister's married, she's doing that thing where she's trying to like subtly but not subtly lay some hints, and you can tell he's just like, this is awkward, I don't know what to say. I think he should just tell her the truth, because to be honest, I got the sense that she just really wants him to like be married, be happy, have a family. I don't know if she would really care who he marries. I mean, maybe she would, but I don't get that sense from her. I just get the sense that she's like concerned because he's not married and doesn't seem to be super motivated to be. Little does she know. His mom just wants grandchildren. But he should just tell her. And then we close off the episode with Nicole and Mahmoud. Nicole has landed in Egypt. They have a really sweet reunion. They seem super happy to see each other. It's cute because Nicole was like, can I hug you? And he's like, yeah, you can hug me. And she's like, wasn't sure. And he's like, well, it's at the airport, it's okay, like this is normal. And no, that was really sweet. And then they don't even leave the airport. And Mahmoud just says something where he's like, oh, can you just close your jacket? And Nicole is just like, that's so rude. How could you say that? Like, you're starting already. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. So I'm sure next episode we will get to see more of their fight, which she hasn't even been in Egypt for like 2 minutes and already they're fighting. We'll see. Yeah, so to sum up this episode, most people are traveling, getting ready to travel, have arrived. So now we get to see more actual interactions between the couples. And I am very interested in Debbie and Osman's relationship because it seems odd, but I love her and I don't want her to be hurt. So I hope it's okay, but we'll see. Anyway, on to episode 4. See you next time. Bye.